Plan B race car, fixing the scary bearing kind of sound, part 1, figuring out what's going on with it. Get ready to go on the Circuit Dragon Drive. Plan A, the 95 Mustang Turbo 351, down for the count. The rear end's set up, the engine is set up, not running, but set up, transmission's in, just needs more fluid, no drive shaft, no turbo stuff on it. So, it's not ready. Plan B, the 96 supercharged Mustang, kind of a little, sort of a saline, kind of clone-ish car. Been running fine. I've been test driving it through the past week and a half, and no problems until today. A few days ago, I did, I blew the bugs out, did a hard pull for just 4 or 5 seconds, just while I was merging onto the highway, getting up to speed. Not a problem. I heard kind of a clunk along the way. I couldn't find anything, couldn't see any debris, nothing, so I assumed I just ran over something. Bring that to the next time I drove it, today, Wednesday, before the Circuit Dragon Drive, getting everything ready, oil changed, all this stuff, and charged up the AC. Things were doing fine. Got to the oil change place, changed the oil. I didn't really do anything on the gas, nothing at all. I go to leave, and I'm hearing a run, kind of grinding sound every time the engine would turn over, and it's coming from the top end, from the supercharger, louder toward the snout. I'm thinking, oh, I toasted a bearing in the snout. So, resuming, I had someone come help me. Someone that was also bummed when we heard this sound, because we were pretty worried that the car was now junk, or the supercharger, and I wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So I've called the Steggy Performance guys in St. Louis. I talked to Bob up there. I've talked to Show Me Speed here. Everybody trying to figure out, how can I fix this? How can I get this snout rebuilt? Can't. It's not possible. Not only is it hundreds, up to thousands of dollars, it's not going to happen anytime inside a few weeks or more. So, thought we were toast. Thought I was going to take the motorcycle. Realized don't have a motorcycle racing suit. Toast there as well. So I'm thinking I might have to race the Cadillac Escalade on this thing, which I didn't really want to do.
No, it just wouldn't be the same.
Boring.
It just wouldn't be the same.
Peppy, but boring. So, came out here to the shop to work on this car and see what we could get out of it. Old Navigator co-pilot here was pretty bummed as well. Yeah, but so I came out, took the belt off. That was the first thing Bob said to do. Well, Bob at Steggy Performance, the guys that port these and clean them up and rebuild them, he said, make sure the nut is tight, pulley hasn't moved around, and I didn't realize that the pulley has a nut on it to keep it tight, or to hold down on that and remove this nut. This nut came off really easy, so I'm thinking it might have been loose. Regardless of whether it was loose, when I started looking at the pulley, there are pieces of belt broken off down in the grooves. I don't know if you can see you can see the edge of it down in there where it just shredded that belt, which is not very old, but it's been through a few drag strip passes, and I wonder if that's what it was. So, because I had a lot of rubber debris all over the place here, like even if I wipe my finger around here, you can see bits and pieces of it. So, most of the belt, I think it didn't have too much rubber in it, just a little couple pieces, but then it's got one major section right here where the back of the pulley to the front of the pulley is covered in rubber material in the base of the grooves.
Oh, I can see where it turns from shiny to just rubber looking.
You look down in there, see where it is?
Oh.
So I think every time the supercharger would spin and the belt would hit this part, it would go whoomp. And then when I look at the next section, there's not as much, just one piece right here in the middle, a couple small sections, but it wouldn't show up as a whole lot. But then I get back to this and go whoomp. So, because when I spin the pulley, I don't hear anything. There's no spot where there's extra friction, there's no noise, there's nothing. The pulley is not really loose. I'm betting that's what our problem was. So this is part A. I'm going to put the new belt on, start it up, and see if we are still good to go.
One thing. How are we going to get that rubber out?
Hard work. Little bitty screwdriver or a pick or something.
Knife?
Anything. I don't care.
Hammer!
I'll use my fingernails if I have to.
I don't.
We're gonna try
I hope
this.
it won't come to that.
All right.
Because I don't have to.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, part 2 to the fixing the Plan B car for the Circuit Dragon Drive. Way less stressed. We're okay. What sounded like a bearing failure noise and the snout, the little supercharger, turned out to be a melted belt. I haven't had that one before. This belt was a couple months old and hadn't had maybe 250 miles, maybe like one tank and a half of gas through it, and 4 drag strip passes. No hard street time, no burnouts, no nothing. And so that was kind of a surprise to have a belt that had melted, let alone you know, a new one. So got it off. I might be able to put a picture in this video of what it looked like now. Pause. Okay, I assume I got that picture in there. I don't know. If I didn't, oh well. Anyway, the grooves of the belt in some spots were packed full of melted rubber on the supercharger pulley, and also on a little bit on the alternator pulley. So that belt had just gone through everything, and because of the way it melted on the belt, there were a few, you know, there was one main tall spot, and every time it would spin over, it would just whump, 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 whump. And to hear it on the car, it sounded like a bearing, growling sound, like a wheel bearing failure, like anything else that sounds like a bearing failure. And I've been through those before, and I was like, oh no, that's bad. Okay. Thankfully not bad. I was able to wire wheel everything out. I roughened up the surfaces a little bit. We got better grip. Hopefully it won't slip quite so much. I don't have the option of putting like a, whatever they are, 7 or 8 rib belt on there. Not on this thing. It's just, I've got the best belt that I could get. It's just a regular black Gates belt, a nice belt, but not a green one or anything. And they're not available for this. Not in this length and not in this 6 rib design. So I guess I'm just going to have some slip. But it's enough, it still grips enough to make whatever it is, set 9 pounds, something like that. Enough to have fun, but apparently also enough to melt the belt. So way better. Let me show you the other belt. So I grabbed my spares and was looking at them, and then I grabbed this belt. I'm gonna flip the camera. I've already thrown it in the trash, this piece of junk. Anyway, when I pulled the belt off, one of the first things I saw that was funny was a melted chunk just sitting here. Like I don't know. Anyway, the belt was, yeah, very, very, very little use on it, and so it was kind of a surprise that anything had happened to it. But let's see if I can find. So it'll show up as shiny spots down in the grooves. So let's see. Not those small shiny spots. It's like big sections. Yeah, right here. And the belt's actually stiff right here too. It had melted right here. So we go from what looks like normal belt to full of melted rubber. Technically it's worn down. It's a little shorter in those areas where it slipped again and again. And then more sections. You can see how shiny that is in between. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like that. You know, where it's dull in between the down in the grooves. So that kind of thing happened a few times. So now I know. See, there we go. Go from okay belt to, you know, actually I'm going to zoom in. Good belt right there. You can see the start of it. Melted belt. That's just melted rubber. You can see how it's just packed in there. Or rubber dust or something. I don't know. But yeah, that kind of thing happened all the way around the belt. So it was the last thing on my mind because I knew this was, I remembered putting this in. It was new. And the car hadn't been driven much since then. See, there's another section. Not as bad as that first section, but yeah. So I learned something today, and my stress level went way down. Put this thing where it belongs. Piece of junk, stress causer, burn it. Anyway, so I think we're back. So now I just have to clean the car up, pack my tools, tie downs, everything, and whatever else, obviously an extra belt. I'll probably get another one too, and see if we're ready to roll at that point. Hopefully so. Anyway, to Bob at I'm just going to say Steggy Performance in St. Louis. It's Steigmeyer. I probably butchered that, but he wasn't convinced it was bearing failure. I don't know why. Maybe it just doesn't normally do that kind of thing. But he was the one that said, man, just pull the belt. Check the pulley nut, take the pulley off, see if anything with the keyway is messed up on it, because the pulley is just pressed onto the supercharger with this one. Well, kind of pressed on. It's got well, I said that wrong. This is not the one that's pressed on. It's held on by the nut, but because of the way it fits, sometimes they have problems. The nut was maybe loose, but I had already been trying to get it off, so I'm not really sure if I loosened it up or what. But anyway, it wasn't hard to get off. So it's possible the pulley was a little loose and was wobbling just a tiny bit, and that's what helped melt the belt. I don't know. I know to check it now. But yeah, thanks to Bob. I'm going to give him an update here, but you helped me solve it without having to dive in. I mean, what you can't see over here, well, I'll show you. I have got my PI intake up here, and upper intake manifold, I do have my old belt, good. All of my intake stuff, EGR parts, everything to go back to now non-supercharged. And I was ready to tear the top end of that off and find a way to put this back on. I don't even have gaskets. I'm not sure how I was planning on doing that. Maybe hoping that these gaskets were still okay. Who knows? But we ended up all right. So anyway, thank you, Allison and James, for supporting me as we scrambled around trying to find a racing suit, leather suit, so that we could take the Connie, which I don't think we're going to need now. So anyway, all righty.